Yo, what's up? I just got off work. Let's just get straight into it. Mark and Flip, they got on the show on the Patreon and they almost had a big fight. You know, Joe kind of went into the spaces on Friday and he alluded to it. And he said that Mark and Flip, or no, not Mark and Flip. He said that two co-hosts almost got into a fight. Some people ignored him a little, ignored Joe a little bit on that. They didn't really believe in the stuff until they finally saw it on the show on the Patreon earlier this week. I mean, not earlier this week, but literally like yesterday. Everybody has seen it already now at this point. If you don't got the Patreon, you probably should get the Patreon if you do want to see a lot of that content. I don't know why I'm addicted to this show too much a lot of the time that every week or every month I will decide to cancel the Patreon, but then I go back and I buy the Patreon again. I don't know why I do that. But either way, you know, Mark and Flip, they got into it again. This is probably like the third time they've gotten into it. It's been bro, it's been coming to this point anyway. Like this was gonna happen again anyway, especially because of how like antagonistic Mark can be with Flip sometimes, and Flip kind of does the same thing with Mark a lot of the time. And it's really like this people want it to be this battle between the intellectual and the uneducated. And like, I will say Flip isn't stupid. Flip knows what Mark is doing a lot of the time. He is trying to be antagonistic, but Flip thinks it's like him, like purposely, that he's trying to get at all the time. When he does this to everybody, like Mark, it doesn't, like when he said he shoots at everybody, he literally does shoots at everybody. Like one person each week or each episode, he picks to pick on and to do certain shit too. And I don't know why he acts like that a lot of the time. I don't know why Flip like really wants to act like that. But either way, we see the blow up happen. Oh, well, before the blow up happens, we see Flip come in. You know, Flip kind of ignores Mark a little bit during the conversation, but then the real culprit of all of this is J1. J1 asks the question, everybody the question, not just Mark. He asks everybody the question, who should get paid the least? And so then nobody wants to answer it at first because nobody feels comfortable enough to say something like that. And then Joe pops out and says, well, Mark was telling me that like if Imani or a Flip, you know, they ever get put off the show, or if they ever take a pay cut or anything like that, you know, I'll take whatever is there. And that's Joe being Joe, trying to be messy, trying to say some stuff, trying to elongate the truth of what actually happened. Mark actually explained that I'll do whatever it takes to, like, you know, to get as much pay as I can possible, which I'm pretty sure is probably what actually went down. Joe's just being Joe, trying to like stir the pot, and he really did this time, like to the worst possible extent that he could have too. And then, you know, Mark, he corrects Joe and he tells him his point, and then I guess they get into another they start getting more into the conversation and stuff like that, to where like Mark just finally says it, and he's just like, yeah, I think some people here should get paid less. I think some people here should not get paid as much as they should. And like, he's kind of like implying that towards like Flip mostly, which I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't know what it is about Flip, but sometimes I can't like, I don't like the man sometimes. There's a lot of the top, especially like the performance that he has on the podcast sometimes, like it just be terrible. Like there will be times that Flip does not say anything. Like he will sit there, and I know he said before that he mostly doesn't want to speak on anything that he really does have no knowledge on. But like at the same time, if other people on the show are coming in prepared to like work on the topics, like, I mean, are prepared to talk about the topics because they've actually done like a little bit of research before they came in on the show, and like we're at home either watching videos, looking at articles and stuff like that, like why can't he do the same? But I guess like Flip feels like that's not what he's there for. Maybe there's something in this contract that says, yo, no, I'm not supposed to do any of this. This is your job, Mark. This is the reason that you're here. You're supposed to do all the research. You're supposed to know all the topics and stuff like that. And I'm just supposed to be here, act crazy, yell, scream, make a couple jokes, and walk out, get paid. That's all. That's all there is to it. Maybe there's something in his contract that does say something like something in that type of like corporate contract type of speak that it does say that that's all Flip is there for, because maybe Flip only sees himself as being that type of person that's needed for that type of stuff. But then at the same time, you have Flip saying all the time that he's learning in real time, like he doesn't understand a bunch of stuff, but whenever Mark tries to explain things, he always tries to throw a cult joke at Mark and stuff like that. I'm not trying to defend Mark too much, because Mark, I know Elevation talks about this all the time. Mark can be like I don't want to say an intellectual bully, but he can kind of just be an asshole. And Mark has admitted that, like, yeah, I can just be an asshole sometimes. But I do think Mark means well with some of the things that he does say. I think Mark, at the end of the day, even though for all the intellectualism that he has and for all like the degrees and stuff that he has and stuff like that, he's still a Philly nigga at the end of the day. Like, he still go joke, he still go bid with niggas and shit like that. Like, he still go talking shit. Like, I think just because they already have been working with Mark for like about a year at this point. So it's just like I feel like you would know him a little bit more by now. I think they have said behind the scenes that Mark does show like a little bit different of a side of himself, like out like when the cameras are off and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure everybody on the show is kind of like that too. But like people have said the same thing about Flip as well, where like he amps up more of like what he actually is when the cameras turn on, and he's not really like it's like one of those things where like he's Flip when the cameras turn on, then he's Trevor when the cameras turn off. Like people have kind of said that, so you can say the same thing about Flip as well. But like with this whole conversation that went on that kind of led up to this point of them even getting into this fight and blowing it up and stuff like that, was Mark's trigger of Flip saying that he was doing sucker shit. But like, you can't. I see a lot of people say on the Reddits and the YouTube comments and on Patreon, not YouTube comments, I mean Patreon comments and Reddit, even TikTok too. People post clips. Is that people keep saying that Mark agitated Flip. This is all Mark's fault. Everybody knows, and I think everybody knows this. Everybody knows this is like between J1 and Joe's fault. Mostly Joe's fault. Joe does like to amp up things and get people to like argue with each other and debate each other and stuff like that. This is mostly his fault. But I will say, at the end of the day, this is both on Mark and Flip, because Mark did try to de-escalate things, but at the same time, he was allowing his trigger word to really get to him, and you can't tell anybody how to react. And Flip comes from a world where, I grew up around dudes like this too. I grew up around dudes like Flip, who will, once they find out something that you don't like them saying to you, they will try their best to keep doing that to you because they feel like that you aren't really going to do anything about it. And Mark obviously showed that he was about it. Like, he's not afraid to throw hands with Flip and stuff like that. Even though I don't think it should have got to that point, but that's, again, it's more Joe's fault. There's more on Joe, if anything. You know, Flip, I think his problem is, I don't think, everybody keeps saying that like Flip is very uneducated about a lot of stuff. And I was just having a conversation with a friend about this. Just because you are uneducated does not mean that you are stupid. It does not mean that you are a stupid person and you can't articulate yourself well, and you don't understand, like, especially what Mark is doing. Like, you can't understand the type of stuff. Mark just, like, I think out of habit, he can't not speak in the way that he does sometimes. Like, what Flip says is tricky words and stuff like that. Like, the tricky word thing is what that whole tricky word exchange is really what got the Flip, because like, I guess Flip really doesn't like to be looked at as being someone that is stupid or anything like that. But at the same time, Flip does say and do a lot of stupid shit. And then I think the main key to what people miss about this stuff too is that, one, what Mark does with all the slick talk and all the little shots and stuff like that, everybody else on the show does that. Joe does it. Ish does it. Ice does it rarely, but Ice don't really want to, like, I don't know. Ice don't really want conflict like that sometimes. So sometimes he does the slick jokes, stuff like that. But anytime you do a slick joke to to Ice, or if you make a joke towards him, he don't want to even he don't want to have no conflict. He don't want to argue or anything like that. Parks even does it from time to time too. You know, Corey always like just yells whatever, but that's not really slick. Corey is just yelling all the time. Everybody's always doing little slick things, saying little comments and stuff like that, especially Joe and Ish to each other sometimes. And like they have like some type of history with each other. I mean, they've been friends for so long. They like know so much about each other. Like they can say like little slick things and stuff like that that goes over my head sometimes because I don't know. I'm not in their friendship. I don't know. Like I don't fully know their dynamic like that. I only know what I see on screen and stuff. Everybody does that same thing. So I don't know why like Flip is so angry at Mark because of it. But because like Flip eventually brings up and he says, "Oh, Mark is the type of dude when you're at work. He's the type of dude that would want to." He's the type of dude where if he's the one that's doing the most work, that's being the most active, always volunteering constantly to do stuff, he demeans his other coworkers for not doing what he's doing. But I don't think that's at all what Mark is doing. I think Mark came in, he wanted not just the shine, but he wanted to prove that he could be a big part of the JBP, and he did it in the best way. He started doing the Mark and Ian show. He started like being the one to deliver some of the main topics and stuff like that. Like a lot of the other people on the show, they don't have to do what Mark is doing, and they've actively said that they either didn't want to do that type of stuff, or like they're cool with just like doing their 2 days on the show, doing their like 1 million hours that Joe has them in there, and they're good because they either got other things going on that they can't really adjust their life enough to where like they can do more, or they didn't negotiate with Joe like, hey, if you want me to do more, or if I am going to do more, you're going to pay me more for that. And either like the negotiations with Ian and stuff like that didn't go the way that they wanted to and stuff like that, or they just don't want to do it, and that's fine. And I don't think Mark sits there and he says, you guys are bad because you don't do as much work as I do. I don't think Mark has that type of attitude, and he doesn't talk to them in that type of sense. Like Mark do talk to them crazy sometimes, and some of the jokes be like be slight flagrant. But like everybody, all of them up there do that same type of stuff. So I don't know why they look at Mark and they say like Mark is the one that's like wilding the most and stuff like that. With I don't know why they do that. I don't see the correlation and stuff. But Flip is trying to make it seem like Mark is always the one that's trying to belittle everybody and to like make everybody seem smaller than him because like he contributes more to the show and stuff like that. But Flip, I don't know if it's like if he's either scared of like losing his position there. I don't know if it's like just because he can't help himself or anything like that. I don't know if it is because of some of the family issues and stuff like that. But the second thing that I wanted to say that coincides with this is that like Flip has also admitted that he is a hypocrite. Like he wants to be able to go onto the show and say whatever he wants about anybody. Like he wants to like with his co-host. And since Melissa is gone, there's not too many people that's going for it. You know, Flip go fight him on it. Flip. Ish go fight him on it. Joe go fight him on it. Ice, he go ignore him. He go be like, all right, you got it. He not really even go try to deal with Flip in any of his BS that he be trying to do. And you know, Mark always go fight him on whatever he tries to say. And then Parks, he just like, I mean, he don't really got nothing to say to Parks like that because Parks don't give anybody enough of a reason to really want to even have an issue with him. But Flip, he has openly said that he is a hypocrite. Like, don't say nothing about my family, but I can bring up any of your business anytime I want to. Just don't say nothing about me. Any of the personal stuff that got going on, all the little don't do any slick shot towards me, or I'm gonna fry you up. I'm gonna fry you up. That's what Flip says all the time, but he never fries anybody up. I never see any frying happening. Never see any frying happening. He never fries anybody up. Like I feel like when Flip wants to fry somebody up, his way of frying somebody up is just exposing their business. Like that's his only way of being able to fry. Like he don't have any actual like jokes to like fry somebody up. He just has like ways of like digging into people's insecurities, bringing up their business, just trying to like expose the type of people that they like that they deal up, and like bring up somebody's past or some shit like that to implicate something. And that's the only thing that he has. That's the only thing that he has. That's his way of firing people up, is by doing that. Without that, he has nothing to really say. And since Melissa is gone too, like he really don't got anybody to like really like start the dog piling on. Because with Mark, he just, I don't know. I guess maybe because like, it's not trying to be misogynistic or anything like that, but I guess it's because maybe he's just a dude at the end of the day. Like, he'll be ready to like argue crazy with them and stuff like that. I mean, like, cause Flip, he kind of argued with Melissa and stuff like that, but he also made her feel like mad uncomfortable, because he's always like, he would constantly do this, he would constantly bring up her like her business outside of the podcast, just for everybody, just in general. He's always like, he's very observant, which is why I say Flip isn't stupid. He understands what Mark be doing with the slick talk and stuff like that. But his problem ain't really with Mark. His problem is really with Joe. Him and Joe have issues with each other for like at least the past like 1 or 2 years, at least since he's been on the show. Like first year might have been sweet. Second year, third year, everything started going downhill. I really will say it started all really going downhill after maybe like the first season of Improper Improv. Like everything started really going downhill with that. I do kind of have a theory, but it's okay. But either way, like Flip has like this real issue with Joe, but he can't directly talk to Joe super crazy, because if he talks to Joe super crazy, Joe just gonna get rid of him. So like his real conduit for really like talking crazy to Joe is through Mark, because Mark probably agrees more with some of the stuff. I don't think he agrees 100% with Joe. I don't think Mark ever agrees like 100% with Joe. I think a lot of the things he dislikes that Joe does a lot of the time, like up there on the show and stuff like that. But with, at least when it comes to Flip, he probably does feel like Flip should get paid less. Flip comes in late. I think he does have something in his contract to where he can show up like at certain times because he has outside things that he's doing. So I think that's like something in his contract. So I'll try to like remember that. But like Flip can show up whenever he wants. Flip doesn't have to like, Flip barely talks on the pod. Flip barely even says anything in the pod. Flip doesn't research any topics or anything like that. Flip constantly like interjects with opinion, but like really doesn't have anything to say half of the time. Like Flip isn't even allowed to really be there when they do interviews with guests. Mostly everybody else can be there, but Flip can't be there because he's just terrible when guests come up there, because he doesn't do any research on the guest. He doesn't really like know anything about them half of the time. Like he might know some people affiliated them. Oh, you know my boy, da, da, da. But like he really don't, like he doesn't add a lot to the podcast half of the time. And I know I see y'all out there saying like once Surf get out of jail, like Joe's gonna hire him. And then kick Flip out as soon as that. But I don't know if he gonna be able to get rid of this man, bro. I don't know, but I don't know if Joe wants to really do that or not. There's a lot of people that like Flip. There's a lot of people that dislike Flip. Like I think there's more people that dislike Flip than like Flip. They probably dislike Flip a lot more than Ice. And I think Ice sometimes can like, Ice isn't bad, but like Ice at least shows up on time. Ice at least contributes to the conversation a lot more. Ice may not want to always give up like certain things about his personal life and stuff like that, but I can't blame him for that, because I don't want people to know about certain things in my personal life on the internet and stuff like that. But either way, bro, it was crazy. That fight was like, that almost fight was insane. I remember a long time ago Joe saying that like he basically never wanted his shit to end up like No Jumper and shit like that, but it's damn near ended up like No Jumper. This is basically like No Jumper New York, just without like anybody actually like really like fighting or getting into it and stuff like that. Because I feel like a lot of stuff they do keep off camera but a lot of the time, like, it still kind of blows up like this. But either way, like, man, it is crazy. This is probably the only video I'm gonna make about Joe in the podcast ever again. I am way too knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff. I've been listening for like years. There was like I didn't listen for a bit for a while, but then I came back in and then I started learning more about Flip. I really don't like Flip. I really don't. But it was both of their faults in that situation that happened, in that conversation that happened. And I don't know where they're gonna take it from here. I don't know, because I don't know if Mark or Flip could do another episode with each other. They might fake and act like everything's all good, but it's not at the same time. But we'll see. I'll see y'all another time when maybe I'll talk about this again. Maybe.